About 10 years ago, I was part of a volunteer dive rescue team down in Florida. We'd get called when someone went missing in the water, sometimes a swimmer who got caught in a rip current, sometimes a boater who didn't come back. But the call I'll never forget came from a woman who said her husband never surfaced during a dive just off the reef. She was hysterical and sobbing so hard the dispatcher could barely get the information out of her. We got down there fast. Her boat was anchored about 200 yards out, rocking on the calm sea. When we climbed aboard, she was sitting there, shaking. She told us they had gone diving together, but she came back up early because her mask was leaking. He stayed under, said he wanted a few more minutes. She saw his bubbles for maybe 5 minutes and then nothing. We geared up and dropped into the water. It was one of those rare days where the visibility is almost perfect. At first, it looked normal, just fish, coral, and the steady rhythm of the tide. But then I spotted his mask. It was just floating there, suspended about 20 feet down, like it had been dropped and forgotten. We started a sweep pattern, searching the reef. That's when I noticed it. This faint red haze drifting through the water, thin at first, then thicker, spreading out like smoke. It was blood, and it was fresh. We followed it, and that's when we found him. Or what was left of him. I won't go into the details because it's the kind of thing that sticks with you, but it was obvious it hadn't been a medical issue or tangled gear. It was a shark. Maybe more than one. We surfaced as fast as we safely could. When we climbed back on the boat, I had his mask in my hand. That's all we had. His wife took one look and collapsed, screaming into her hands. I've done a lot of rescues, but that was the first time I truly felt that the ocean wasn't ours. It belonged to something else, something bigger, older, and hungrier. This one happened when I was in college. My buddy Jake was a lifeguard, and one night after a few beers, he told me the story that still makes the hair on my neck stand up. There was a beach party, one of those summer nights where everyone's drinking, laughing, and blasting music. At some point, this guy decides to show off. He says he's gonna swim out farther than anyone else. His friends try to stop him, but he runs down into the surf and dives in. Everyone watches as he swims out. He was at around maybe 60 yards. You can see his arms flailing in the moonlight, but then out of nowhere, he just stops. At first, they think he's floating, just messing around, but then he starts thrashing. The kind of thrashing that isn't swimming, it's panic. The water around him churns, sprays flying up, and people start to scream on the beach. Then, just like that, he's gone, pulled down into the ocean. They called for help, lifeguards, Coast Guard, everything. They searched through the night, dragged the area for 2 days, but nothing turned up. On the third day, his body washed ashore a mile down. They said it was a shark attack. Likely a great white. Cape Cod's known for them. But Jake told me the part no one wanted to say out loud. When they pulled him in, his arms were locked across his chest. Like he tried to hold himself together while something tore him apart. And the worst part? That stretch of beach is still open. People still swim there every summer, laughing in the same surf. I was visiting a friend in Santa Cruz a few years back, and he convinced me to go watch him surf. He went out almost every morning, no matter the conditions. That day, the water was perfect. glassy and calm, not a soul around but him. I sat on the sand with binoculars, watching him paddle out and wait for a wave. At first, it was peaceful. The sun was coming up, the horizon was glowing pink, and he was just bobbing on his board like a speck in the distance. But then I saw something that made my stomach drop. A shadow. At first, I thought it was kelp, but it moved. It was circling under him. I grabbed my binoculars, and now I could see it clearly. It was a shape longer than his board. It was a shark. I started waving my arms, screaming, but he couldn't hear me. He just sat there, waiting for his set, completely oblivious. The shadow passed under him once, twice, and then it stopped, right beneath him. Later, he told me he felt it. He said that the water went heavy around him, the way it does when something huge is close. He knew if he fell in, that was it, so he tried staying as still as possible, just balancing on his board, praying that it would go away. And then it happened. The shark slammed the bottom of his board so hard it launched him into the air. He crashed down, flailing and scrambling, but somehow he managed to claw his way back onto the board. He paddled to the shore like his life depended on it. When he hit the shallows, he was shaking so hard he couldn't even talk. After a little while of him cooling down, we looked at his board. There was a bite mark carved into the fiberglass. Teeth still embedded in the grooves. He never surfed in that spot again. And you know what he says now? The scariest part wasn't the hit. It wasn't even seeing the teeth marks afterward. It was that moment when he was sitting on his board, perfectly still, and he could feel the shadow below him.